Hiya crafters, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and today I'm going to share with you a Friends Across the Border collaboration. Now I have this awesome embossing folder from Simon Says Stamp. It's called Roseville Bouquet. I have a friend die from My Favorite Things, and here's a photo of the finished card to show you where we're headed with this project. Now I will tell you a little bit more about the collab, so stay tuned for that. But to start, I have a panel of 120-pound accent opaque cardstock. I did cut it down with that stitched edge rectangle die from LDRS Creative. And here I have a friend die from My Favorite Things. Now initially I was going to go vertical orientation, but I did end up switching it horizontally just so I could have a little bit extra wiggle room around the sides of those letters on that friend die. So I'm just kind of using the embossing folder and using the die and the cardstock to figure out basically the orientation and the composition and make sure that I have room for those gorgeous blooms. So I'm just kind of playing with this. Once I figure out where I want it to go exactly, I will tape it down with some mint tape from scrapbook.com and then run it through my die cutting machine off screen. And I use a Spellbinders Platinum 6 manual die cutting machine. Now you want to do your die cutting first prior to the embossing so that you don't crush down what you just embossed into the panel. And I did spritz it with a little bit of water just to kind of help the fibers of the paper really wrap around the bold dimension that you get from the embossing. And look at this gorgeous embossed panel. I absolutely love it. So I'm just leaving it white for now, but as you'll see, I do add a little bit to it. Now here's a photo of my dear friend Ardyth Percy Robb. I'm sure you probably already know who she is. She's absolutely brilliant. She's such an inspiration to me, and she makes some of the coolest cards. Real quick, I'll tell you these colors. It's Merlot, Quartz, and Cashmere, which is a brand new color from 𝗵𝗄𝗄𝗆. Anyway, a little bit more about this collaboration. We connected recently and decided we wanted to do a Friends Across the Border collaboration. So she's actually in Canada and I'm in the US. She's in Ontario and I'm in West Michigan. We actually met once in person, which was super cool. My family was flying to Ireland and we decided to fly out of Canada. So we coordinated it and were able to meet up with her in Toronto, and she is just as fabulous in person. And if you aren't familiar with her, be sure to stay tuned to the end of this video. I will actually link her video for this collaboration there, and you can see whatever awesome cards she came up with for this. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because she is so cool. She does a lot with geometrics and is so good about stretching her supplies and coming up with really clever ways to use her items from her crafty stash. So be sure to check her out and let her know that Amy's Wares sent you if you hop over from this video. But I'll have all that information at the end of this video where you can just hop right over to her video next. Now here you can see I'm just doing some very simple ink blending. It's a hot mess. It gets better, I promise. I did just kind of keep going over between the pink and that Merlot color just to kind of further blend them in and saturate the paper. And if you've worked with 𝗵𝗄𝗄𝗆 before and it's splotchy, fear not. It really does kind of soak into the paper and balance out a little bit as it dries back. So it wasn't as much of a hot mess when all was said and done. And then just a little bits that show behind that die cutting, it looked just fine. So at this point, I decided the white was just a little bit too stark. I was apprehensive doing this because I was very nervous that I was going to mess it up and have to do it all over again, because you guys know I don't ever do a trial run. I don't ever do a practice card. I just kind of have a general idea and then I go with it and then I adjust and course correct as need be. But thankfully this ended up working out okay. I did use a little bit of that cashmere color to do the little tiny blooms around the edges of the bigger flowers. And then I used the two pinks, or the pink rather, and the Merlot, which is more like a deep red, in the center of those blooms. And I did like that little pop of color that I added. It didn't really take away from anything, but it made it just not too white, I guess. So I'm deepening up the center just a little bit more. I want it to match a little bit better to the ink blending that you can see through the cutout, but ultimately it was still a lot lighter and not quite as saturated in color. So it worked out okay. I didn't do any ink blending on the leaves. I decided to leave those be because I wanted a lot of nice crisp white space. Now I did want to take it to the next level, so I grabbed a stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. This is a woman-owned business, and I lead her design team. So you've probably seen me work with loads of her stencils. I do have a coupon, AmyFan10. If you shop for anything, be sure to use that coupon at checkout and you'll save on your complete order. And that includes card bling and basically anything in the shop other than the Master Creator bundles. So I did some ink blending with the same colors, and I felt like it just added a little something extra to the design. I wanted kind of a small design so it didn't take away and get too chaotic and busy, but I wanted a little something extra. So I'm going to continue the stenciling onto the inside of the card just by using some residual ink. So I'm not going back to the ink pad. I'm just using the ink that's already on my brushes because I don't want it to be too dark. I still want to be able to write to the recipient on the inside of the card. So I'm putting the stencil back down, going a little bit heavier handed with the pink color and then a little bit of the Merlot. And then that'll give that nice continuation of the design to add some interest onto the inside of the card. So on to the next step, I do want to put a sentiment that kind of ties into our across the border and kind of missing you from a distance theme for our friendship card. So I decided to grab these simple strips from Tailored Expressions. Now these are a really cool system where you do one stamp and then there's one die that cuts them all out in one pass, and even those storage boxes are from Tailored Expressions. So I'll be sure to link anything that's available in the video description box below. If you expand and scroll down, you'll find all those details. But I did find one that says Sending Smiles Across the Miles, and I'm just going to use my cool new custom stamp that my friend Jessica Lynn sent me. She's from Jessica Lynn Original. She'll do custom stamps, so I'll be sure to link her as well below. Now I want to finish the card with some bling. This is also from A Colorful Life Designs. There's actually over 130 of these colors in the shop now, and I'm obsessed with this stuff. It is so gorgeous. I decided to use this beautiful metallic regal rose color. It was such a perfect match. It kind of throws different colors depending on how the light hits it. And I'm going to put it down in an odd smattering here, 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom, when I'm done chucking them around and accidentally gluing them down in the wrong orientation here. But eventually I will get these put down with my jewel picker tool, and then that's going to finish the design. So super easy, came together. I had a blast using some new crafty goodies from my stash. I'm so excited to see what Ardyth does for her friendship cards. So stay tuned. I'm going to link her video here. You can hop right on over to her video next, and be sure to leave her comments and send her some crafty love. So thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the thumbs up, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.